What up? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Get it going. Welcome everyone. This is a particularly exciting month for me. Something that I've been thinking about for a while. It's a wine region that I've always been kind of fascinated with, and quite frankly, clueless about. I mean, sure, yeah, I know Tokai. We've featured a wine from Hungary before. If you guys remember that, the sparkling pennat, that like orange yellowish pennat from Somlo Mountain by Mineclon. In the, I think it was like 2020, 2021, maybe it was in the early days of the.
I hated that wine so much.
Yeah, a lot of VA. Yeah, it was
Because I remember I emailed you about it. I was like, they think my wine was wrong. And you were this lovely response. It was like, actually, this is a great time for us to talk about blah 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 blah. and you were basically like, the wine is fine. Your palate is like,
I mean, yeah,
whatever. But that part hasn't changed. I still think I would have probably hated if I drank it again.
Yeah. See, now you can articulate that it's the volatile acidity you don't like.
Yeah.
It was a chance to talk about what volatile acidity.
There you go.
That, so hey.
Yeah.
Think of it as a learning opportunity, you know.
Yeah, I learned a lot. And I dumped out the wine.
Yeah. You and Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've had it before, but in large, I am quite clueless. And then this is kind of the month, it's just an excuse for me to, you know, taste these wines and learn more and kind of deep dive, go down a rabbit hole. So thank you all for giving me the opportunity to do that. And I'm taking you all along with me. Let's all be real. I've said this before, but let's be real. This wine club is just a selfish excuse for me to drink what I want to drink and have you drag you guys all along with me while I'm doing it. So anyways, so yeah, so this is our first month of first week of a Central European box. I'm calling it a Central European box, but really, I mean, where does Central European box start? Where does it end? Or Central Europe start and end? But really, we're focusing on 3 countries, which is Hungary. We have 2 wines from Hungary. Today's wine is one of them. Next week, we're also going to stay in Hungary, but we're actually going to Tokai. But sorry for those of you who are big fans of dessert wines. I'm looking at you, Dave T, and myself included. Unfortunately, there's no bottle of actual Tokai Azu in the box because that one bottle alone will probably take up my entire budget for the month if I have to put it in there. There were some kind of a Tokai light version that I could have thrown in, but I was like, you know what? If you're gonna have a Tokai experience, you should really have the whole thing from the beginning. I just thought it just wouldn't be the right thing to do, and so I actually skipped it. So we're gonna do a dry white wine from Tokai region next week, and then we have a bottle from Czech and a bottle from Slovakia. So yeah, so Slovakia, Czech, and Hungary. Those are the 3 countries that we're going to focus our energy on this month. Yeah, there's going to be, I'm just going to rely a lot, hopefully, on Cecilia. I don't know, Cecilia, if you're proficient in pronouncing some of these words, but
Oh, probably not.
okay. We'll all butcher it then all together. I apologize ahead of time. I mean, Cecilia,
I'm third generation, or
yeah, okay,
or second generation Slovak. Yeah.
You're the first one that came up. I was like, oh shit, I probably need to apologize to Cecilia ahead of time.
I'd have no idea.
Okay, so okay then. But yeah, some of these words are very difficult to pronounce, where I just have no idea. I have no reference point of how they sound. So if I mispronounce anything, if anybody who's watching the recording or who's attending the tasting speak any of these languages, I apologize ahead of time. But before we get into it, let me go over some logistics real quick. So apology about the email getting sent out late and earlier today. That was supposed to go out yesterday. I don't know what happened. Thank you, Dave Corlette, for giving me a heads up, letting me know that you haven't received a reminder. So I was able to send that out last minute, but yes, so apologies. We do have one new person this month who joined, which is actually Cecilia's dad.
Who unfortunately had plans tonight and could not join, but should hopefully be on next week.
No worries, no worries. Well, in that case, maybe when your dad comes on, maybe I'll do the whole go through the grid and all that stuff all together, but or myself just kind of show them what's up. But until then, maybe I'll hold that off, and then we can keep on our regular format where we go around and taste the wines together. But in case your dad watches the recording before next week, I will say just a couple logistics. My name is Un. Hello, Cecilia's dad. It's pronounced Un. There's a W silent. Over the years of people butchering my names, that G at the end has also become progressively silent. So Un, like moon without the M, soon without the S, spoon without the SP. Any of those will work. Or if is easier for you, with the G at the end is authentic way of pronouncing it in Korean. Respond to either. So whatever's easier for you. A couple ground rules here. One, in the first hour, 8:30 to 9:30 is kind of like the learning hour, a regular hour. So we're going to go through the wines. I'm going to give you some producer profile. We're going to taste the wines through the grid, and we'll talk about that when you join us. But we're going to do all of that. And if you watch this before you join, then you'll kind of get a sense of what that looks like when we do it later today. So anyway, so during that portion, that 1 hour, we're trying to keep it all within that 1 hour. So if you have any questions, if you could just put it in the chat box or just hold off on it until you are prompted to ask. I would appreciate it because we're trying to move this along. We just don't want to keep everybody here for so long. But afterwards, we're going to turn this into, after the regular hours is over, this kind of turns into a virtual wine club, essentially, where we drink the wine, hang out. So at that point, you can ask any questions, wine or non-wine related. The second ground rule is we're a bunch of adults with a different beliefs, backgrounds, and we're all consuming alcohol, and sometimes things may be said that you may find offensive, or you may say something that other people may find offensive, and that's okay. That's a natural course of human discourse in a civilized society, right? But when those things happen and they're brought to my attention, we're just going to address that as a group. Know that that's coming from a place of love and respect. I'm not interested in censoring you or controlling how you show up. I want you to show up authentically as yourself, but just to make sure that everybody's feeling safe and fun in the space. When that comes out, we're going to talk about that as a group. Finally, that's the only 2 ground rules. So besides that, relax, have a drink of wine, listen along, maybe learn a thing or two, but more than anything else, have a nice glass of wine, enjoy the wine. Case Club goes live tomorrow. For those of you that are not familiar with Case Club, it's a perk program where you can purchase the wines that we tasted from the month before at or near wholesale cost. More you buy, the cheaper it becomes. Hence the name Case Club. If you buy a full case of wine, it becomes much, much cheaper per bottle. So last month it was the Great American Road Trip box. So there are a bunch of those 4 bottles, as well as some other ones that I've tasted. So I'll put them all up there. If any of you, so watch out for my email, and you'll have a week to put that on. So, and for those of you who actually participated in the allocation, the Tibor, Matassa, and Falkenstein allocation, shockingly, I don't know if that says something about maybe, I don't know, my status with my importer has been upgraded and I got more allocation, or maybe fewer people are buying allocations in DC. But we were able to get every bottle that we requested, except for 1 bottle. So we pretty much got everything. So if you participate in that, know that pretty much all those bottles are coming. I also got another allocation email today, about some other really unicorn producers. So I'll put those all out tomorrow along with Case Club as well. So look out for that. Final last announcement is that I said this in the email. I don't know if you got a chance to read the email, reminder email, but 6 Foot Wine Club has all, from the very beginning has been committed to donating 1% of its gross revenue to an organization every month. And we're going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to do that. I stay committed to that kind of a guiding principle. But I don't know, lately it's been kind of feeling like a kind of a bit of a virtue signaling when I'm like putting these things out on the email and talking about it every week. And I don't know, it doesn't seem, I don't know how many of you guys are actually donating because I don't track that anymore. but I don't know, it doesn't seem like many people are all that excited about it anyway. So I'm gonna do that privately. I'm no longer gonna announce that organizations publicly. But if you're interested in who I'm donating to, who 6 Foot Wine Club is donating to, and want to learn more about them, let me know. Shoot me an email, and then I'll let you know who we're donating to. But yeah, it's just something. Yeah, I just felt like, again, virtue signaling, and I just don't want to do that. So I'm going to stop talking about that. But that's it. Any questions about anything, logistics, any of that? Cool. Cool. All right. In that case, let's get into the wine. We're starting off with this guy. This little green label, 2024 Gal Tibor Egri Csillag is what we're tasting today. Let's start with the map. I actually realized, I'm going to pull it up real quick. Sorry. Probably, I don't know. Well, a lot of you guys, more so than most Americans, my wife, you 6 Foot Wine Club members are quite good with geography. But in case you're wondering where Hungary is, I think we should start there. Start here. All right, so when we're talking about Central Europe, I don't really know where it ends, where it starts. I would assume Austria, Slovenia. I guess once you get into Croatia, this is really you're going to Balkans and Dalmatian coast. But really, Slovenia, Austria, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech, Poland, I would imagine. So this is kind of like the Central Europe. This is the way I look at it is this is kind of what I see as a Central Europe. I don't know if it's the official definition, but anyways, for the purpose of this month, we're really focusing on these 3 countries: Czech, Slovakia, and Hungary. So as you can see, today we're in Hungary, and on the left, on the western part is like Austria. To the north is Slovakia, and then on the south we got Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, all on the south, as well as Romania on the east. So a lot of bordering countries, obviously landlocked, but this is where we are today. Let's see. That's not it. All right, so this is the map of Hungary. So within that first map there you saw, and these are all the wine regions. These are not naming, so each one of these, some of these has smaller sub-regions inside it, but really we're looking at is a kind of bigger regions here. And some of these you may recognize, right? This Nagy Somló, this is the Somló mountain, right? This is with the Ufork. It's a native variety called Ufork. This is that this Penat, the sparkling that Allison hated that we tasted a few years ago. The reason it made sense because the producer was an Austrian producer, Wine Club, which is just over the border here, and they essentially sourced the grapes from here and brought it back to their winery and then made it in Austria. So it was one of those kind of like a fun things where it's like Hungarian grape but made in Austria. So is it Austrian wine? Is it Hungarian wine? Who knows? And this is also one of those very porous kind of border where people kind of cross back and forth. But for us, we're really here today, this week, in Egri. As you see, there's a big lake here, and this does play a moderating influence. Anytime you see a big body of water, essentially plays a moderating role, and then essentially what allows viticulture here to be possible. Hungary, as you can imagine, being in the very landlocked central part of Europe, the climate here is continental, which means it gets quite hot in the summertime and it gets bitterly cold in the wintertime, particularly on the northern end here. This is really the white wine region, as you can see, like here, once you go to south, you see all red wine. just the red wines being made, right? Same thing with the Villani. So all the red wine. But as you come up north, it's mostly all white wines that's being made here. It's because the northern side is much cooler. It has a longer winter, shorter growing season, shorter summer, and then the south is the opposite. It becomes a little bit warmer, longer growing season, but shorter winter because it's quite hot in the summertime. But really, this body of water, this Egri, is what essentially moderates that cold winter. And there's also a mountain range that this map doesn't show it that runs here, right along the northern part, and it blocks a lot of the cold wind that's coming down. So it kind of moderates that cold, bitterly cold winter that comes down, and it's what essentially makes it possible. And in terms of, I mean, if you're familiar with Hungarian wines, or if you ever had Hungarian wines, the chances are it was either first probably Tokaj, which is Tokaj Azu, A-S-Z-U, pronounced Azu. Tokaj Azu is a world-renowned dessert wine. I mean, it's made from botrytized grapes, so noble rot that has been kind of shriveled up. And it is, to this day, I mean, the peak of its popularity around the world was in the 1700s, but to this day, it is highly sought after, and it is one of the most collectible wine items that you often see in like a auction and collection. And then you go further down, and then you see, sorry, so Tokaj is the second biggest. So there are these regions, but really there are three regions that you should really be aware of in terms of a production level, vines under coverage, which is Matra, which is this is where they produce the most amount of wine in Hungary. And the second is Tokaj, and the third is Egri. And we're in Egri this week. And this is basically where we're going to be spending our time this week. So the kind of the history of here, just like the rest of the Europe, it was really the Romans who brought viticulture to this region. Let me get out of actually, I leave the map on there just so that you guys can look at it. It was the Romans who brought viticulture to this region by the 5th century AD. Over the following centuries, new grape varieties were brought in from Italy, France, focusing mostly on white wine in that period. So yeah, it started out as a kind of white wine region, and the red will enter the picture later on, and we'll talk about that in a second. But really, when it first started, right when the Romans first came here, this whole Hungary was really known for its white wine. During the Ottoman occupation of Hungary, the variety, the native varieties, the ancient indigenous variety of grapes was used to make a very robust red wine blend. And now we know that as Bikavar, which is, or Egri Bikavar, which is a red wine cousin, or brother, I should say, sibling of what we're tasting today, which is Egri Csillag. Egri Bikavar is a red wine, basically red field blend of this region, Egri. But it directly translates to bull's blood. And as the name may suggest, that this is a very kind of bold, really tannic, robust red wine. It's still available. And like I said earlier, if you're familiar with the Hungarian wines, the chances are it's probably either Tokaj or bull's blood that you've had, because those two are probably most widely distributed outside of Hungary. And for the longest time, those two are the only wines that I've had from Hungary until really this month. This is the first month that I've really tasted any Hungarian wine in any kind of systematic way. But I was really impressed with the kind of stuff that was coming out now. So after the Ottoman occupation, it was during the Turkish occupation that the Tokaj region became known for dessert wines, harvested late to encourage botrytis. In case you are not familiar with botrytis, it is a noble rot. It's a type of rot that only happens in a very specific climatic condition, where you kind of have to have a fog and humidity in the morning. And then it just kind of rots out the grapes. So you let it hang longer than usual. So it harvests, all the sugar really concentrates, but this rot actually dries out really shrivels up the berries. So the sugar gets concentrated. It also gives this very, very distinct flavor that is often described as like honey, beeswax, and sometimes like like a fresh umbrella. If you ever like open up an umbrella and like the kind of plasticky kind of a smell that comes out, botrytis can do that as well. But yeah, those botrytis, and it can only happen in a very specific climate condition in a very specific place, and that's why it's very prized around the world. There are not many places in the world where botrytis happens, and Tokai happens to be one of those places where botrytis does happen. So Tokai Azu is mentioned in a document of 1571, and it was famously christened by Louis XIV of France. He famously called Tokai Azu as the wine of kings and king of wines in his time. And it was really in the 1700s that the world saw Hungary as the benchmark of fine wine. Sweet dessert white wines were the most in-demand style. Tokai Azu was the most sought-after dessert wine in the world at the time. To this day, like I mentioned, you can still find that lusciously sweet. If you never had Tokai Azu, and I'm gonna feature some on the Case Club later on, it's not gonna be cheap because I mean, if you understand the process of making Tokai, imagine like all those grapes that get shriveled, and each one of them has to be hand-picked, and you get very minute amount of juice left over. And even to fill out a bottle, you have to basically harvest a lot of grapes to make it. So it gets very expensive. But yeah, so I'll put it on Case Club. But if you are interested, you should definitely check one out. It is an incredible, incredible wine. The influence has showed. Wait, sorry. Start after that. Yeah, so 1700s, Tokai became kind of a benchmark of sweet wines. Hungary became really well known around the world as a fine wine producer. And in the 1730, the world's first vineyard classification in Tokai based on soil, aspect, and noble rot were established. So the Tokai is one of the very first, if not the first, I think it is actually the first oldest classified wine region in the world. Before France, before anywhere else, Tokai is where it all started. It's actually a UNESCO heritage site now, just to give you an idea of how highly sought after Tokai was in the 1700s. In 1882, the phylloxera hit Hungary real hard, just like the rest of Europe. And all the kind of traditional field blends of Egri and many grapes of Tokai got replaced with a lot of modern day monoculture. So these days, when you see Blanc Frankish, or it's called Keck Francos in Hungary, or you see a lot of Bordeaux varieties there as well, a lot of Merlot being planted there in the red wine production regions. And then in the white wine, in Tokai, you'll see Furment, Muscat, and Herslevelu in Tokai. Those were all kind of planted after phylloxera. And a lot of the indigenous varieties were kind of ripped out. It just never made as a return. And then finally, the Hungary went through the Soviet rules, right? So under the Soviet rules, the quality was neglected in favor of overcropping, pasteurization, industrial production. But ever since the fall of the Soviets, there has been kind of renewed interest in traditional varieties, and a lot of new investment are actually being made, in particularly in Tokai. In fact, I would say Hungary is kind of going through a wine renaissance. You're seeing a lot of these kind of new generation and younger producers that are combining kind of these kind of traditional winemaking using indigenous varieties, but using all the modern day winemaking techniques and sensibilities to kind of create this new brand, new time in Hungarian wine history, viticulture history. And tonight's bottle is exactly that, which is, you know, there's a new generation of very established winemaker that come on, and then he's working only with the indigenous varieties, bringing back the traditional field blend wines that are being made here, which is the Egri Csillag, and then making it in a very modern kind of cellar and well-made way. So that's what we have. There are 22 wine regions I mentioned in this map, but the top three I mentioned is Matra, Tokai, and Egri. Yeah, and that's what we got. Let's see. So who makes this wine? Look at this, a handsome fella. His name is Gil Tibor, Gil Tibor Jr., I should say. So Gil Tibor Winery was founded in 1993 by Gil Tibor Sr. In 1989, the senior was working as a winemaker in this region where he's from, Egri. Then he was offered a chance to go work for Ornellaia or I can never pronounce that producer correctly. Ornellaia. Yeah, Ornellaia. In case you are not familiar with that producer, it is a world-renowned super Tuscan producer from Bulgaria region of Tuscany. So yeah, he got a chance to work there. So he packed up his shit, took his family. They all moved to Italy. They all moved to Tuscany. And then he worked there and then worked his way up to being a head winemaker there. That's kind of where Tibor Sr. made his name as a winemaker. But then in 1992, he decided that he wanted to return back to Hungary. This is a hometown, and make wine with his traditional indigenous varieties in his hometown. So he returned home back to Egri in 1992, started his own winery. And then he developed a winery while continuing to work as an international kind of wine consultant until he ultimately died in a tragic accident in South Africa in 2005. But then family took over the winery immediately, and the management of the winery passed on to his son, Tibor Jr., which is who you see right here on the picture. They sustainably farm 40 hectares of mostly indigenous varieties. Like I mentioned, Keck Francos, Kadarka, Pinot Noir. There's some other indigenous varieties as well, the international varieties as well, Pinot Noir, Syrah, Cab Franc, Cab Sauv, Viognier, Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, Traminer. They also have Olash Riesling, Leyanka. So all those things are grown here. And the whole aim, and even though they do make single varietal bottlings of these kind of varieties that I mentioned, the aim and what they're trying to bring back and do well are those two indigenous field blends that I mentioned. The Egri Bickever, which is bull's blood, the red wine, and then Egri Csillag. It also means Star of Egri, which is what we're having today. In case you're wondering what that means, so Egri Bickever is a bull's blood, Egri Csillag is Star of Egri, but in case you're wondering what that is, so it's a regional field blend. This is essentially what people here drank for centuries. It's the white wine, the blend must be at least 4 varieties, and mostly 50% or more has to be native grapes. So at least half of it, at least 51% has to be indigenous varieties from the region, and then you got to have at least 4 varieties. So it's really kind of an idea of representing like a wine style that represents the whole region, as opposed to very specific kind of one thing. So yeah, you can kind of see it as a regional representation, a wine that represents this kind of region. This particular bottling from Tibor is 30% Olash Riesling, 20% Leanica, 20% Viognier, 20% Zerkobrak, I have no idea what that is, 10% Pinot Blanc, 10% Chardonnay. All sustainably farmed, grown on volcanic soil on the family estate, all hand harvested and lightly crushed. And then the rest of it is quite straightforward. After they cold settle the wine a little bit, and then the must was fermented in a temperature controlled stainless steel tank. What that tells you is that they're really just trying to preserve the freshness, delicate aromas, and then the purity of the fruit quality of the wine. All varieties were fermented separately and blended right after fermentation. And then it's aged on these for 4 months with a gentle batonnage, and it's bottled and then it's sold. So very straightforward kind of winemaking, but obviously we're taking something that was very traditional, very old, has been around for a very, very long time, and then making it in a very modern kind of a winemaking facility, as well as a winemaking technique. So like I said, it's kind of like the new renaissance that's happening in Hungary, where all these younger new generations are coming in and then making old school traditional wines in a basically new way is what this wine is. Any questions about the wine before we get into it? By the way, there are some Egri Bickever as well as Csillag that are meant to be like aged, and it can be, some people may even collect it, but really from the beginning, the whole point of this was to be consumed. It's kind of like to be everyday table wine. So it's rarely will you ever come across Egri Csillag or Egri Bickever that you're going to think, oh my God, this needs to be laid down for 10 years. Even though the bull's blood can be quite tannic for a while. But yeah, this is what people drink on a everyday, daily basis. Yeah. Any questions? Excellent. Let's taste the wine. Like I said, I'll go over the grid when Cecilia's dad comes on. But otherwise, you all get to pick a section. Who wants to take the appearance?
I can.
All right. As a resident Central European, you get to lead off.
I like the name of this wine. Like my mom's side's all like Slovak, and she had a cousin named Tibor that was Hungarian. That there's like these legendary stories about him being a freedom fighter during the Soviet occupation, and he escaped Hungary, hanging on to the axle of a car, like driving him out of the country during that time. So I was excited to see the name.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
And my mom's mom always told her she should marry a Hungarian, but she married my dad, who is not Hungarian. But yeah, it's clear. It's not filtered. I don't think.
This one is very, very clear.
And I would say pale.
Yeah, my lighting is not very good. There's also both very yellow lights. But yeah.
And I would say like not lemon green, but lemon, but it's just light.
I see some color here.
Little
Again,
green.
maybe I have a very yellow light here, so that maybe. And you guys tell me you guys see something different, but like yeah, like I'll call this like pale gold, medium lemon, somewhere around there. I see a little more than just lemon. Like I see a little more yellowish hue to it, but not a whole lot, not like over the top. So.
And then we don't care about the legs.
Yeah.
There's no bubbles.
Yeah, no subtle bubbles.
Yeah.
Not hazy, very clear. Yep. That's what I go with. Excellent. You gonna pick the next person for the nose?
Anybody want to do the nose?
I'll do it.
All right, Dave.
I would say this is clean.
This one is clean. Smooth sound.
I'm a little surprised by the intensity because I think when we get into the next section, it's got a lot of body, but I don't find the nose intensity as that.
Yeah, I'll call this like here. Like I smell it right around here, which is like just off the rim. Oh, it's on medium.
Yeah. In terms of aroma, like honeysuckle.
Yeah, there's definitely some floral component. There's something really pretty, kind of like honeysuckle, blossomy, the kind of white flowery kind of thing.
Like white grape juice, it smells like a little bit to me, which is redundant. But like the Welch's stuff.
Okay.
A little minerality, but not a ton.
Sorry, say that again.
A little bit of minerality, but not a ton.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of fruit on the nose, so it's a little hard to distinguish it, but it smells sweeter to me than it tastes.
Yeah, it's really like a lot of ripe fruit here. Like the fruit quality here is like super ripe here. And yeah, a lot of it. So yeah, I agree that there's definitely some like really pretty floral kind of thing going on here. I think honeysuckle, a white kind of a jasmine kind of a thing, I think is a call that I would make here.
Yeah.
Do you get any green fruit? Any apple, pear, anything like that?
But predominantly like green. No, I would say predominantly. I would call it like white fruit. Like light green. I don't know.
Did you say white
fruit? That sort of, what am I trying to describe? I think that sort of floral kind of I don't get any grapefruit.
You don't get any grapefruit.
No.
I get a little bit like pear, a little bit of maybe that like now that you mentioned it, like maybe some of that like even like actual grape, like something grapey about it as well.
Yeah, it smells like Welch's white grape juice to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, exactly. Like
Because it doesn't taste like that, right? So
yeah,
it's a little bit confusing.
there's something like what is that like the Welch's or the like the Thompson grape, the green grapes.
Yeah.
Like there's some of that. Yeah. Now that you mentioned it, I feel like I'm getting it out there. Any citrus?
I mean, kind of from the acid, but if it would be, it's like a preserved lemon.
Yeah,
Pure.
exactly. Me too. Yeah, it's not like this fresh, like bursting the peak of the season lemon. It's like really ripe, like Meyer lemon, if anything, salted, preserved lemon, like that kind of stuff for sure. Yeah, but that kind of like citrusy, salty, briny, salt kind of a thing going on here, for sure.
I don't get any black, dried, herbaceous. You could convince me there's a mild note of herbal here, but something very flowery.
Mm. Yeah, I get a little bit of green here, like not like a grass, but something savory,
Yeah.
something like vegetable, something like that. But yeah, just a touch of that, not over the top.
And a
But
little bit of like a little bit something flinty at the end, but it's not predominant.
yeah, definitely, I definitely get some minerality here coming out for sure. By the way, this is all grown on volcanic soil here as well. So yeah, there's definitely some kind of that kind of smoky, flinty kind of a vibe to it, but not a whole lot. Really, if anything else, this is really like that fruit, flower, ripeness, all of that.
And to
Nothing
that,
overripe.
I don't get a lot of secondary either.
Yeah. No, I mean this is very young. Again, it's not. These are things that are really not meant to be aged for a long time. It's usually for youthful, fresh consumption. So yeah, no secondary, no tertiary. Just didn't see any oak. It's all stainless steel. And then yeah, I mean this is really primary fruit driven. That pretty flower, touch of green fruit, touch of citrus fruit, but like Meyer lemon, salty, preserved lemon kind of a thing. I don't get much of stone tropical, red fruit, black fruit, obviously. Really ripe, really fresh. Maybe touch of the like a green, like a vegetable savoriness, but just a touch of it. And then yeah, definitely I do get some of that kind of smoky, flinty, some crushed rock kind of mineral. Cool, excellent. We get to pick the next person for the palette.
Any volunteers? I can't actually see everybody today. Dave, you want to do the palette?
Sure. Let me pour myself a little more though. All right. I mean it's dry,
Why don't you try it?
but it has that thing where it's so floral it almost reads as sweet, which is interesting.
You think it's that floral? I mean, I get floral. I definitely do get floral here, but I don't think it's that floral. I do think
more
it's
the-
very.
It's more the
Wow.
honey, like the honeysuckle makes me like I can sort of I haven't had a lot of Tokai in my life, but I can like, oh, there's that honeyness of Tokai, like even though it's probably next door, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely do get kind of like the golden honeysuckle, that kind of thing. Fruit qualities is really ripe. On the palate, I actually do get a little bit of that kind of like that yellow apple kind of a thing going on here as well. But
we'll get there, Come on, patience.
okay, all right. Sorry. All right, but dry acidity.
Decent acidity, medium, maybe medium plus. I think more medium though. No tannin.
Yeah, I'll call this medium acid as well. Nothing crazy, but yeah, keeps everything in check, fresh. Yeah. No tannin. Alcohol?
Nothing sticks out. I'd probably say 11, maybe 12, but 11 and a half, somewhere in there. I haven't looked.
Say like 12, 5, 13. Yeah. So
Really? 13?
right in the middle, medium. Body.
It's got some body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I go medium plus, partly because it's a white wine, but it's medium, definitely.
Yeah, I'll call this medium. Like I'll go as far as calling it medium plus, but it's got some weight for sure.
Yeah.
High end of medium, lower end of medium plus is kind of like where I'm at. But if I had to split between medium plus, I'll probably land on medium this thing. But yeah, definitely noted on the weightiness. There's some viscosity here. No mousse, flavor intensity.
I'd go medium plus. I mean, it's got a ton of flavor for me.
Yeah, I actually think that it is more intense on the palate than it is on the nose, which is usually the other way around for me. But yeah, the flavor here is not shy at all. Yeah, I'll call this medium plus as well.
Yeah.
What do you get?
For
Confirm
me,
everything that they.
the palate is very different than the nose.
Okay.
I mean, you get what's on the nose, but I get more, as you said, you get more like yellow apple. Definitely some citrus.
Mhm. It's pretty. Like to me, this wine is just very pretty all around. It's got like a really beautiful flower, but not over the top. Really ripe fruits that kind of like pear. What is that? Basque pear? There's like the brownish, yellowish pear.
Yeah.
Like Basque pear, yellow apple, that like lemon, Meyer lemon, Thompson grape, like just all these kind of like different fruits, but like they're really ripe and just like fresh and beautiful. Yeah. Anyways, go on. So, what are some of the things that you were getting that you were saying you didn't get on the nose, but you get it in the palate?
Well, I think it's mostly that. I guess what I would say that the nose to me is more floral, whereas the palate is more that sort of ripe fruit.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean.
I didn't really get a ton of apple on the nose, but I get that.
Yeah.
Pear, I got a little bit of that on the nose. Now it's much more pronounced.
Got it.
And although I got the honeysuckle on the nose, I don't really get that as much on the palate.
Yeah, agreed. I think to me the floral kind of scent. Again, not like over the top. We're not talking about like muscat or malvasia or anything like that.
No.
But like definitely very pretty flower. That's much more pronounced on the nose. But on the palate, I get a lot more fruit than the flower for sure.
And I will say, like, as it warms up, it starts almost to verge into like more of a stewed fruit. It gets that right. It starts to get a little bit past just freshness, ripeness.
Yeah, the fruit here is so ripe here. It's like there's nothing that's underripe about this at all. Which is super cool. This is great. And for me, and then maybe on the nose, we call this preserved lemon as well, but on the palate, I actually do get a little bit of brininess, like a little salty finish at the end, which I think is really nice against all that like really ripe, sweet, associating fruit quality and flower quality.
Yeah, there's definitely some salinity and some minerality.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a layer of minerality here. Like nothing here is like over the top, like holy shit, like that's crazy. But like there's a little bit of like everything, and then like it's just like
really well balanced.
Yeah, well balanced, really well and harmonious, and just really well-rounded wine.
I mean, no secondary or tertiary flavors, but
right. Yeah, no secondary. This is very, very young and fresh, primary fruit driven. Sorry, my camera's out of focus.
You guys are calling out Flint on the nose. I was gonna actually say it like it when you really sniff deeply. I even get like matchstick almost, like it's that flinty.
Yeah.
Just a touch, like a tiny touch. But
Yeah.
So there's something.
Yeah.
Is that oxidation? What causes that? Is that VA or
reduction? So the other way, reduction. Yeah. So and it makes sense. I mean, it's stainless steel, very non-porous surface. So yeah, there could be some reduction on there. But yeah, I definitely do get a little bit of Flint, smoky, flinty kind of a thing, for sure. Also, it just makes me so proud to hear you guys talking about like, reduction on the wine. I'm like, oh my God, look at this. It's great.
Running low
all right.
already.
Length.
Length. Length is pretty good. Let me sip here. Interesting.
You know,
Medium, but there are some flavors that persist a little longer, but they're not the fruity flavors. Interestingly, there.
exactly. So it's the lees stirring, it's the batonnage, and then the aging on the lees for 4 months afterwards. That's really sticking through. So if you sit with it, the back palate, the back end of it, you get hit with this flour, fruit, all the things that we're talking about. You get the salinity, and then the flintiness, and then you sit with it. And as all of it goes away, you get this kind of like Parmesan rind, leesy, kind of like a savory cheese rind kind of quality to it.
So I guess there's a tertiary flavor in there.
I mean, tertiary is really like that type of tertiary is really from bottle aging, but we know that this is not from bottle. Like the only thing that could happen is just like lees quality. And again, also that body that you were talking about earlier, just has like kind of a weight, and then just kind of like the heft to it. That's also a sign of batonnage and lees aging. So this all checks out.
Okay,
that's actually really nice. I actually wasn't even thinking about that, but yeah. So what would you call that? What would you call that length?
I guess it's interesting. I feel like as you said, those kind of fruit floral flavors fall off around the medium, but there's that aftertaste that continues. I guess I'll go medium plus on this.
Yeah, exactly. This is like high in the medium, low in the medium plus. Yeah, this is like right hedging into the medium plus territory here for me as well. All right, just take it home for us.
Balance, I think, is great. It's got very well balanced flavors.
Yep.
What is it? Balanced complexity. I mean, it's mostly primary, but we did call out salinity and a little bit of reduction, like these other sort of hints. And you mentioned the lees aging. So I guess I'd call it pretty complex, like relative to white wines, similar white wines.
Sure.
So I probably put those both in the kind of very good, like slightly higher than medium category.
Yeah. High end of medium, lower than medium plus kind of a area. Yeah, somewhere between medium plus.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and then the other calls, so it's balanced complexity,
concentration,
and length. Is it? Is the fourth one? Okay.
Yeah.
And those we call kind of medium plus. So we're kind of like very good to very good. I mean, I think it's very good.
Yeah, exactly. Given that this one, I think this one is very well balanced. Yeah, I agree with your call on complexity. I think I would, if on an exam setting, I'll probably call this medium. Had it had just like more of it, some like a little more savory quality and other things coming out. Maybe I'll call it medium plus, high in the medium, low in the medium plus, just so somewhere between medium and plus. And then concentration, Dave would call it medium on the nose, but on the palate, definitely I would go towards a medium plus. Again, somewhere between medium and medium plus. And the length, again, we call it somewhere between medium and medium plus. So like we're like really splitting the between medium and medium plus here. So yeah, if you want to be generous, for medium, very good. If you want to be stingy,
also I just like it. So
yeah, and exactly if I like the wine and if I'm spoiling the difference, I always like to be generous. Call this very good as well. But if you call this good, I think it's totally defensive. Yeah. All right, would you age it?
Not much, but it'd be kind of interesting to see what would happen in like a couple years, maybe. I feel like you risk losing all the freshness, because it's already a little bit past fresh. But maybe some of those interesting other flavors might. I don't know. I wouldn't, not more than a couple of years, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I mean, we call this medium acid. Doesn't have tannin, obviously. So it's not like it doesn't have a huge backbone it's going to carry. So if anything, this will probably start to show up tertiary start off rather quickly. So it's not meant to be aged for a long time. And like I said, Egri Csillag is never meant to be aged for a long time. These are kind of like everyday, table wines that everybody drinks. Having said that, yeah, perhaps because I really like that like kind of a tertiary sense that's coming in, or not tertiary, but like the kind of easy cheese rindy kind of quality that was coming in towards the end of it, especially on the in comparison or juxtaposition against the kind of really ripe, sweet smelling fruit that's on here. So maybe getting some of that, sweet, really ripe primary fruit and then kind of change over a little bit will be interesting. But at the end of the day, I think what I do enjoy and what I find really delicious about this wine is just kind of fresh, just abundant, but yet harmonious kind of a basket of flowers and fruits on here. So I would say drink this now. I don't know, over the next 2 years, 3 years, maybe drink it now. Not meant for age for a long time, but it will be interesting to see if some of those start turning into tertiary, how this thing. Cool, excellent. Any questions about the wine?
I think I'll say one last thing. That last sip has got pretty warm, and it gets even more honeyed as it gets warmed up.
Okay. How many of you guys have had Egri Csillag before? Just out of curiosity. How many of you guys have had a Hungarian? Whether it be Tokai, yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, this is that kind of like the new trend that's happening. And next week we actually have dry Tokai. So and so there's a lot of these kind of like dry still wines that are being made in Hungary right now. And they're quite good all across. I tasted many of them. That was quite good. So yeah. Cool. Any questions? Any comments? Did you guys like the one? What do you think about this one?
I had
anybody-
this weird, since I grew up in Brazil, there's this soda, well, Guaraná is like a plant in Brazil that's used in energy drinks, but there's also like probably drunk more than Coke, like this Guaraná soda. And this
Okay.
smells so much like it to me. It's kind
Oh,
of wild. Yeah.
Huh. All right. I mean, if soda smelled like this, I'll probably drink more soda.
A little floral. Yeah, I don't know. It it took me back to my childhood. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, why can't you call that out? Because the grid won't allow you.
That's not on the grid.
It's not on the grid. You know what I mean? Like, why is that
Could
not
be
on the grid?
the new Brazilian grid.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
6 Foot Wine Club non-traditional grid, right?
Yeah, exactly. We should just come up with our own grid. Just throw
I love it.
everybody's thing on it.
This wine reminded me a lot of the one from Ischia off the coast of Italy. Remember that we had a few months ago?
Yeah.
Why? I think it's probably because there's so much weight to it. It's not exactly the same flavor, but like it is not. I mean, I know it's a table wine, but you don't quaff it. It's something you savor, right? So, and that one we feel very much like that about. So that's why it reminded me of that. I don't know what's.
Yeah, I think it's similar vibe. I can totally see that because I remember that wine being having that like touch of floral, a lot of that kind of lemon, citrus, pear fruit, and all of that. I remember that wine being much like sharper, higher acid, a little more structured, a little more mineral driven. This one is just a little bit more relaxed, little bit sluttier, but I like it that way. Any other comments?
Yeah, I thought, I don't know if it's a power suggestion, but the notes you call for botrytis, I kind of got a lot of that on this, even though
Oh yeah,
it obviously didn't have that,
We're trying to on this thing.
what I call it. But just
yeah.
like that kind of honeyness and all that.
Well, honey, yeah, for sure.
Like went up or down as it got out of the fridge, Joe, because this wine has changed completely from when I took it out of the wine fridge. Like it was very fruity at the beginning. Yeah. Now it is much more complex than it was before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
in your
I do think
one slightly warmer than you normally would.
Yeah, I think the temperature and the thing matters a lot because yeah, remember when I first tasted it, I remember not thinking that not only the fruit quality wasn't as ripe as this, but like there wasn't this much fruit on it. But now that mine has been out for over an hour at this point, it's yeah, it's a lot. It's giving a lot. It's quite expressive. It's cool. This one did come with a really nice tech sheet that had all the data on it. So just to help you, for those of you nerds who want to calibrate your senses. So the sulfur on this thing, the free sulfur was 14 milligrams per liter. The total was 69. So that's what, 55 grams of sulfur that was added here. pH on this thing was 3.36. Titratable acidity, the total acidity was 4.9 grams per liter. Residual sugar is 3.2 grams per liter. So just to see if you can calibrate your sense, this is what 3.2 grams per liter tastes like on your palate. Though, honestly, like talking about RS, like ferment from Tokai, which is you see a lot of dry ferment coming out these days. Like that grape is so high in acid. I've had ferment at like 9 grams per liter sugar, and it tasted bone dry because the acid is so high. So like that kind of interplay between acid and reduced sugar could play a trick on your palate, but just anyways, the lab data here says 3.2, and the alcohol here was 13.29%. Cool.
Not
Well, let's
sure
play.
there's any Hungarian wine that's under 13 in my experience, just to be.
Wait, say that one more time.
I don't think I've ever had a Hungarian wine under 13%. They're a high alcohol people.
Yeah, particularly the red wines can get real boozy because it's just hot. It gets hot. It's hot there.
Also, it's a hard life out there.
Yeah. See, I'm actually curious about like the cultural rivalry between Czech, Slovakia, and Hungarians. Is it like I don't know. Yeah, what are the
Hungary is the best of the three.
Okay.
Like my grandma or my great grandma told my mom she should marry Hungarian.
Right.
Not a Czech, not a Slovak,
Yeah.
a Hungarian.
I think in
That was
general,
best of the best.
they do not like each other very much. I will say that.
The Czech and Slovakia?
Well, the three countries, they have
All three of them.
a lot of history.
There's a
Yeah.
lot there. Yeah.
Is there like a one single country everybody hates? Like everybody hates Austrians?
Right now it's Hungary, but that's recent politics.
Because of Viktor Orban, whatever his name was.
Yes, he's special. I don't
Of
know,
the three, the
Slovak
Slovaks
for
are
a country for a
definitely
while, as you know, and they're not talking about that much anymore. And the Hungarian language is so different from everybody else's in the region.
Right.
it's the hardest language I think in the world. Like I don't know. It's so
I
different.
didn't
from anything.
finish. I think they're like related in some strange way. So
Yeah.
So, during the research, I came across this research that there are only 3 European languages where the word wine is not based on Latin. And I can only remember 2 of them right now. And then 2 of them were Basque and one of them was Hungarian. I can't remember the third.
Oh, Hungarian's like a totally different, like off the charts language.
Yeah, this is interesting. And ethnically, like they're completely different people than the Serbs as well as the Czech and Slovaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fascinating because the area is not very big either. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a fascinating part of the world, I think.
Mhm. Are they more related to like Romania, like more Eastern Bloc, like Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova?
But Romania's language is more Latin based than Cyrillic, but they have a little bit of that. Like because they also were occupied. So like Romania is more, their language is more like Latin based and probably easier for us to understand.
yeah, the Romanians all pick up Italian very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Latin language. Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
But it's like stuck in this little quadrant where there was Soviet occupation, and everywhere
Yeah.
else around there, it's like all Cyrillic, and yeah, it's wild.
It's Hungarian, huh? uh, all right, let's play over through again. How much do you think this wine is on a retail shelf? How much would you be happy paying for this on a retail shelf? Probably not many people have a reference point for Hungarian wine, so if you do, it's probably for Tokaj, which is ridiculously expensive.
Tokaj is expensive. Yeah.
Very, very expensive. How much is
Except
Tokaj-
when you're there. When you're
Right,
there,
how much
it's
is
not.
Tokaj when you're there? Like,
Oh God, I got like a 4 Petunia bottle for like 12 euros or something.
oh my
I don't
God.
like
Oh my God.
crazy cheap. Yeah,
You can get some real shit stuff there. Like
it's true.
Yeah.
That's a business
You think-
opportunity. I've got some.
Is it easy to get Hungarian or Tokaj Azu in Czech or Slovakia?
yes,
Yeah.
they're
Okay.
dessert wine, but my experience is the Czechs call it something else because they really are unhappy with the Hungarians right now.
Slovakia still calls it Tokaj, but they spell it differently.
Okay.
But yeah, it's they all make their own too. But
Right.
yeah.
If you ask for dessert wine in any of those countries, that's what you get. In Slovenia too.
I think
Yeah.
it's most expensive in Hungary of the three. But yeah, and yeah, it's probably pretty cheap in Slovenia.
I don't remember having any dessert wine in Slovenia when I was there, actually.
You missed out.
Yeah.
They probably
Interesting.
don't export.
Yeah. I mean, I drank a lot of Slovenian wine was there, but no. Okay. Anyways, all right. How much is this wine on a retail shelf? 25.25, 20.25, 23, 18.25, 24.21. Cecilia, I think you have the price down here. This wine on a retail shelf would be $19. It's like for $19,
Oh,
I would drink this all day, every day.
Yeah.
that's a great deal. I
Yeah,
thought the
really
issue
good deal.
stuff was a good deal, but that's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Again, everyday wine. This is like 19 for us. Like, how much is this in Egri? You know what I mean? And this is what they have access to every day. Like, but yeah. So there you go. Any questions? Any comments? Any other comments? Cool.
Promising start.
Promising start. The wines this month are fun. I mean, they're good, but they're also very fun. It's just like, it's not just like this wine is good this month, but like this is, yeah, they all have like a story to tell. They're like this, it reveals different side of wine. Yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
It's so close to Austria, which has amazing wine, but
Yeah,
it's way cheaper.
yeah. I'm actually a little surprised. I'm sure you see Blaufränkisch, you see some Zweigelt over there as well, but how little, well, it's not little, but I expected to see more Austrian influence in Hungary, in Czech, in Slovakia. But yeah, I would have thought there would be more Gruner planted for sure. Like, why did Gruner make it into, now Central Europe? Yeah, or regular Riesling, right? Like, yeah, it's just a little like I don't understand why it stopped there. Like, Riesling comes down from Germany into Austria and like stops. It like stops moving more east. Like, what happened there?
But the red is the Zweigelt, right? Is that how you say
Weigelt
it?
and Blaufränkisch, Franco. Yeah,
I've had that in Hungary. Yeah, it's
But they make
delicious.
quite a bit of Pinot Noir too.
yeah.
It's
I
really-
mean, the thing is, I guess, yeah, the Gruner Riesling is a white, which is northern region, which is closer to Czechoslovakia. South is what's close to Austria. So you do see Austrian red varieties, which is where the red is grown, so the southern part of Hungary. So you do see Zweigelt and Blaufränkisch there. But when it comes to north, you don't see a whole lot of that. Yeah, you see, well, now you see more, besides the indigenous variety, you see a lot more French and Italian international varieties planted on the north than anything else.
My old boss used to be the commercial officer in Hungary for the US government, and he tried to start a Hungarian import business here.
Mm.
was a really hard sell. So I'm glad to see that there's more Hungarian wine getting here. But I mean, they make, I mean, really, really good quality wine. It's amazing. I just
was-
think they export a ton, right?
Yeah, I was really impressed. I was like, like I said, I don't listen. I've had Tokai before. I've had beautiful Tokai before. I've had some dry ferment. I've had that Somno Penne, but like I've never really tasted like systematically through Hungarian wines until I was trying to put this box together, and I was impressed. I was like, holy shit, these are all very, very good, well-made wines. Some more interesting than others, but all just across the board, just very, very well-made wines.
I mean, this is a table wine and it's delicious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Yeah, exactly. Like, if going across is this the most, it definitely wasn't the most expensive. But like this is what resonated with me so deeply here. Like, which is like it tells that story of, right? Here's a country that once used to have all this traditional kind of wine styles and varieties that are grown there. Flatra happens, Soviet Union happens, and it just kind of decimated. Kind of comes back, never makes a return back to it, and it's just being taken over by international varieties and all of that. But all of a sudden now, this like younger generation, new people are coming in, and there's like a renewed interest going back to the traditional ways, but making it with a modern kind of a sensibility. And this wine is exactly that. Like it tells that story, and on top of that, it's an incredible value. Like honestly, at $90, like this is a fucking deal. You know what I mean? Like it punches way above its weight class. So, anyways,
Did you get to taste any Albanian stuff for this box or no?
no, I've never had Albanian wine. Even when I was in Albania, never.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was there for like one day, one night. But the restaurant that we went to all served Croatian.
Interesting. Because they have
Yeah.
very good, like really good.
Yeah. Okay.
Bulgarian. It's like, I mean, they've been making it for 3,000 years. I mean, however long.
Yeah.
And once the Soviets left, they went back to all of the, the old world traditions, and they started thinking about quality again. And you can see some of these countries are doing a pretty good job with it.
Yeah. I saw a lot of Serbian, Croatian wines, but yeah, not much Albanian. It was interesting. Again, I was there for a hot second, just like one night. Cool. Any other questions? Comments? All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to turn off the recording.